Hey guys, it's Tricky Nick here. With the outbreak of the Scariest Virus, many people, myself included, have begun to play video games a lot more while inside.
What the?
But what if I want to combine the soul-crushing reality of the Plagueis Virus and the only escape I have from it? Well, that's why we have viruses within video games. Today, we're going to take a look at a few of the most terrifying viruses and sicknesses throughout gaming history, and hopefully not catch any of them along the way. So without further ado, get your protective gear on, and let's get started. First up, we have the Dr. Mario virus. The Dr. Mario virus appears to be a multicolored Just kidding. While I haven't had much experience with The Last of Us, the terrifying results of the Cordyceps virus always left an impression on me. Starting in September 2013, this airborne fungus took out about 60% of humanity in a matter of a couple months. The fungus grows within humans while they're still alive, and the host experiences 4 stages of infection. The first stage typically begins within 2 days of infection, causing the host to lose their higher brain function. This makes the infected person or persons become highly aggressive and irrational. Then in stage 2, the fungus begins to grow within the host, damaging its vision as it reaches the visual cortex. After around a year, the infected reach stage 3, where the fungus grows out of the head, blinding and scarring the faces of those who make it this far. To compensate for this, the barely recognizable host now has to use echolocation to survive. If the host still hasn't died throughout this year-long painstaking process, it makes it to stage 4. This is where their entire body becomes covered in fungal plates. Jeez, that's a creepy look. Eventually, the host will succumb to the effects of the fungus and pass away. At which point, the fungus decides to branch out of the corpse and releases infectious spores that infect other humans, and the cycle continues. What the heck? So, how does a person avoid infection? Well, pretty much the only way to avoid it is a gas mask. Open air environments also help out too, but if you get spotted by one of these fungmans? If you're spotted by one of the fungmans, you're gonna get attacked, bitten, and probably infected. At one point in The Last of Us, the main character Ellie discovers someone attempted to amputate a bitten limb of a person, but the person was eventually shot by a paranoid survivor, so there's no known research on that. And that about sums up the Cordyceps virus. If you're not already convinced that this virus is terrifying, get this. It's real. Well, for bugs. Yeah, the real Cordyceps virus isn't a threat to humans, but it's pretty disturbing for insects. Basically, the fungus spores will infect the bug, take control of its brain, then once it gets the bug to a highly populated area, it kills it and releases infectious spores to get other bugs infected. While this isn't quite as scary as the Last of Us Cordyceps virus, it's still pretty unsettling when you think about it. Our next virus appears in Resident Evil 4, and it's known as Las Plagueis. Las Plagueis is a breed of parasitic creatures that were originally found in rural Spain. The parasite was discovered by a Spanish religious group named Los Illuminados. Yeah, it was a cult. This group used the Las Plagueis virus to gain new members into their cult, brainwashing them in the progress. When the Royal Salazar family saw what the parasite was doing to people, it was sealed underground never to be seen again. Or at least that's what people thought. Fast forward to modern day, Ramon Salazar, the leader of the Los Illuminados group, decides to unearth the Las Plagueis parasite, only to find them fossilized. Fortunately for the virus, and unfortunately for humans, it survived in the form of microscopic spores, infecting all the miners excavating the Las Plagueis parasite fossils. This allowed the Las Plagueis parasites to slowly grow within them until they finally regrew fully and started spreading once more. A man named Lord Saddler began to infect the inhabitants of the area and weaponize the parasites with the help of genetic researchers with the intent of taking over the entire world. Saddler first tries to take control over the US government by kidnapping the president's daughter and infecting her with the parasite. But if you've played the game, you know that your mission to save her is a success, and she is never infected, along with Lord Saddler being defeated. So now that we have a history of the virus, what does it actually do to a person? Well, once injected into a host, the parasite takes control of the host, making them faster, stronger, and more aggressive. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal, except for the fact that you'll be permanently brainwashed. There were also man-made genetically modified versions of the Plagueis virus in order to help it spread, and those strains could cause anything from mind-controlling abilities, fast healing, genetic mutations, or your heart could just straight up rip out of your chest. So yeah, not a virus you want to be catching at all. A slightly less petrifying virus from the Resident Evil franchise appears in Resident Evil 2. The virus is known as the Golgotha or the G virus. This bioweapon can be transmitted through an injection in the host, so it's luckily not transmitted from person to person. But if you do somehow contract this virus, you're gonna have a bad time. Extreme mutations quickly begin from the injection site, causing morbid asymmetry. Soon after this, the G virus begins to alter the DNA of the patient, causing them to develop extra body parts. This becomes even more intense after some time, with things like large eyes on the left shoulder, extra heads, extra arms, and in extreme cases, the ribcage can open like a mouth with bone teeth.
Kill it! Kill it with fire!
While the disfiguring effects of the G virus make a person almost unrecognizable, it's only spread by injection, so it's not quite as scary as Lost Plagueis. Our final virus, or should I say virus game, is Plague Inc. Plague Inc. is an especially bone-chilling strategy simulation game where the goal of the player is to eradicate humanity with a virus, or other illnesses if you're into that. To achieve this, the player must mutate the virus to give it new symptoms, transmission methods, and resistance to certain conditions. If humanity finds a cure before you wipe them out, then you lose. Hitting a little too close to home, game. Despite having a simple premise, this game is especially horrifying because you as the player aren't aiming to stop a virus, you're looking to spread it. I know this isn't a specific virus, but the game itself is scary because you can give a virus pretty much any symptom you can dream up. Ooh, you can also give it a silly name if you want. After the Snuffleupagus outbreak though, the developers of the game, Endemic, decided to release a game mode where you try to find a cure for a virus rather than— boring! In all seriousness, I really like Plague Inc., but it really makes you think. Well, after looking at all these viruses, it's really put into perspective the current cowpox pandemic. While it is pretty bad, at least it isn't 60% of humanity is wiped out bad. Before I end this video, I just want to remind you all to wear your masks, wash your hands, and stay safe out there. Anyways, it's a good thing I wore this protective gear, because if I got one of those viruses, I'd be a goner. That can't be good.